All right, hello, good morning, everyone. Sorry about that. Had to grab my coffee. Good morning. Good to have you here. My name is Paul Trani. I'm going to dive into today's masterclass. It's going to be super fun. So welcome, Jackie and Lindsay and Brandy and Cindy. Hello, hi. How are you? How you doing? We're going to dive into this masterclass dealing with 3D, creating some convincing 3D is the goal, but approach it from a couple different angles. As you can see from this washed out text right here, it's a little too washed out, but we'll be using Adobe Dimension, some 3D in Photoshop as well. It's all about matching that lighting, matching the overall tone of the image and size and of course like the lens angle as well. So we have some fun examples, then we have some pretty straightforward examples, but it should be pretty cool. No, I know it will be awesome actually. So happy that you're here. Let's actually just kind of switch over. A new setup that I'm pretty happy with, so thanks for joining me. How's everybody doing? Where's everybody dialing in from, huh? I'm here in beautiful Denver, Colorado, where we've had so much snow lately. It's crazy. All right, so this is all I did, by the way. I just did a quick search in Behance. Just so you know, you can search by tools. So right over here, I just searched on Adobe Dimension just to get an idea of combining 2D with 3D. Excuse me. All right, Greg, this session is actually dedicated to Greg, who's just now installing Adobe Dimension. But I think this is pretty cool, kind of going in here, seeing what you can put together. You can go something simple, the angle of just, a product design, as you can see right here, and then you can do more fun stuff like what we have over here, and then even this cool skull study, which I'm totally into. Okay. Jason Shevland from Denver as well. Hey, man, come on by. I'm down in Lower Highlands off of 37th and Pecos. All right, so too much information. A lot of cool things in here to get inspired. I just encourage you to kind of check that out. I'll switch over. You can see like a couple examples that I'm going to work on today, like one fun one and then one that's a little bit more straightforward, but it's like definitely matching. This one we're creating our own reality. So that's the goal. And good to have you here. Good to see you, Paco, and everything. So again, this one was actually pretty fun, and we could talk about this. This one actually we'll dive into a little later because it gets a little bit more complex. So I want to focus on this one here, right? We have this skateboarder. Some fun things we can do. When I look at this, I'm like, it would be really cool if I could drop in a skateboard and put a design that I made underneath the skateboard. Okay, not only that, could we take that 3D object, that skateboard, and make it spin? So this is like kind of like a MoGraph or Cinematograph. So you have this animation of this board spinning, and that's like an animated GIF or a video that you post to Instagram. Sounds like a great idea. Let's dive in and do this. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you like my plan. I think it's a good idea. I'm just going to hit Command J to jump this layer. This is what I'm going to get rid of, so I'm going to kind of zoom in on that a little bit more, actually. This situation, first thing I need to do is get rid of this skateboard right here. You can jump in here. Zoop, zoop. Chances are you gotta make room for your 3D object. I'm selecting it. You can try ContentAware Fill, right? When I do that, click OK. What's gonna happen? Well, it's gonna kind of get it, but kind of not. This happens to be an easy scenario because I can use this tool right over here. It's the patch tool. So using the patch tool, with this selected, I can say, hey, you know what? Patch this area with, and I'm gonna show you an issue that happens, by the way. So I'm glad you guys are joining me. Moving this over, patch it with this area, okay? You'll do that, you'll end up with something like this. So there's still a little bit of content aware happening. So right up here in the top, if I could zoom in on this, zoop, change this, just make sure this is set to normal, okay? So we want a normal patch. If for some reason you're really into content aware, this is a case where I need exactly what's right over here, right? So grab that, move that over. I get to line it up just like so, It'll blend in all the edges, and boom, we're done. Magical, magical, awesome. Tim, what's going on? What's happening, everybody? So good it's a good day to be alive, huh? A good day to be alive. This is actually just a selection tool. This is actually a lasso, is all this really is. But in this case, I'm selecting it. I'm going to do content aware down here because we need to get rid of that shadow. Done, right? Easy enough. Boom, boom. What am I going to do? I'm going to go right over here. Kind of already have a version over here, but we'll just Skater. Naming this layer to Skater. We're going to drop it into my CC library panel right there. And again, you can see this original, and then this is the one that I just made. Skater, no skateboard. So is he a skater? Do you have to skateboard to consider yourself like a skateboarder? Are you an artist if you don't paint? That's interesting. I think Pablo Picasso would have something to say about that. Yeah, you can change it up at the top. So if a tool is ever acting kind of funky on you, go up to the top and just check out what's going on here. And it goes for any one of these tools. You have this options bar. And by the way, you can come back in here. If you've messed with it, come up here and select Reset Tool, okay? So that will reset whatever tool that's been acting weird on you. This happened to me the other day, by the way. I did this, I think it was last week. I was having the hardest time with creating a path I was using the pen tool, okay? And this is what was going on. I accidentally had something crazy like exclude overlapping shapes, right? It was some weirdness. It took me forever to figure out what it is. Well, you know what? Just come in, reset that tool. It should reset all of it, but ultimately I wanted that set to combine. Okay, so that's done. Let's go ahead and take a look at our skateboard, see what we can do there. Let's go ahead and close this. Let's close this one. We're starting with a new file. That's my backup. Gotta have a backup. Wait for it. But that's ultimately what we're gonna do. Don't look at it just yet. Okay, so there we are. Here's my other graphic. Let's launch Dimension. We'll start from scratch. We're gonna use that image as the background. We're gonna grab a skateboard as well. So create new, doesn't matter the size, it'll change in a second anyway. Wolfgang is from K-Town, Germany. Like Koreatown, Germany? That's cool. I assume that's what that means. Right over here, here's our skater. We'll drop it in like so. This is our background, okay? I can always I could do a number of things. Currently, this is 1024 by 768. I can change this size if I just tap on it right here, but Dimension, just to step back, allows you to composite 3D with 2D, right? It doesn't make 3D though, so it's a compositing tool, same way like Photoshop's a compositing tool for 2D, this does it for 3D. Okay, so this looks pretty good, I guess. Yeah, I don't have any complaints. Let's move on. Let's go grab some 3D objects. First off, we do have some 3D objects in our starter assets we see right over here. We can kind of see if there's a skateboard out there. There isn't. Guess what? You can jump out to something like good old Adobe Stock and search for 3D is what I did. Skateboard. Done. Boom. Found one. Done. Right? You can also make one if you know 3D as well. You could also try something like Turbo Squid. Skateboard. This is where to get free stuff. That's why I'm glad you guys are here. Check this out. Skateboard price. We changed this to free, and now we have all these free skateboards out there. So hopefully you guys find that beneficial. Easy enough. Good to see you out there on YouTube as well. John Lentz and Mr. Walker. Awesome. People around the globe. Okay, so that's where I can grab some graphics as well, some 3D images. I already did that. Guess what? I synced that to my library. We can see my skateboard right over here. Let's just drop that into place like so. Let it do its magic. Raphael from Naples, Italy. Oh, that's cool. Naples, Italy. I've been there. It was probably 15 years ago, so I'm due to go back definitely. This is 3D. I'm running this off of a 15-inch MacBook Pro, late 2016, I think, just so you know. Okay, here is my skateboard. You can see it just lays it flat, right? We can start to play with the environment. So right over here, we can see what I imported. We can just twirl that up. We have our environment, our camera, skateboard. I got my tools off to the side. I can come in here. I could select this, and initially what you get is you get the ability to like kind of raise it up, move it around, maybe scale it down. I'll scale it down uniformly just by holding down the shift key. I can start to scale it down, right? I need to pan the camera. Well, that's going to be these tools off to the side. That's this set, right? So we have right up here, orbit. So you're going to get used to pressing 1, 2 for the pan, 3 for the dolly. And then I don't usually use the horizon tool that much. But right in here, we can go ahead and pan that down like so. We can zoom out, and again, using those keys, like so. Zoop, zoop, zoop. Okay, there's another button I could have hit as well, and I did not. That's fine, because I wanted to show you all these tools. Right over here, you can match image. You can resize the canvas to the image size, which might be great, and then create lights. I'm not going to do that. There's outdoor sunlight. That seems pretty cool. I really like, by default, I really like this directional light right here. But maybe I will try that. It's looking so good. It's looking so good already. Let's just jump in here. I'm going to try this. Outdoor sunlight. Let's try it. Resize canvas. Do I want to resize canvas? No, I do not. Let's uncheck that. Click OK. And then you can see it added this sun, right? Just added this sunlight, right? I could see. There it is. There's the sunlight, the intensity, the height. Let's bring that in, right? The intensity of that light. And you get the idea. Okay, cool. Okay, let's move on. Cloudiness. There we go. See what I'm doing right there? Let's move this into place a little bit more. Come talk to me, everybody. How you guys doing? Moving that down. Skateboarder. Easy enough. Bam, bam. Guess what? This light needs to be moving into place. We take that sun again. Again, we have the rotation. See how it's rotating around? The sun is very high. I can put it at an angle so it's in front. We'll rotate it this way and do something kind of like that. Okay? Let's bring it closer under like that. You got it. Cloudiness can determine the intensity, but we already have this pretty squared away. Cool. Let's give it a little undo, grabbing this rotation. Let's do something like that. That's kind of a little bit cooler. Seems maybe a little bit big. I could still scale it down some more and use the pan tool, something like that. All right. Can you add multiple light sources? What's up, Paul Alvarez in the house? Cheers to you, my friend. Yes, you can. I really want to work on something like a little bit more like creative and abstract, but the goal is to match 3D with 2D. You totally can, by the way. Let me show you this, Paul. Go into Starter Assets. Right up here, you're going to click right here, the lighting category. You're going to have these different lights, but also you have a number of environment lights. So you can have a 3-point lighting system. So if I happen to add this, clicking right there, I've added these 3-point lights, key light, fill light, and backlight. And then you can change those all you want. So super easy to do. I'm just going to go ahead and undo that since this is looking pretty strong already. Shrink this down a touch. Alrighty, let's move on. Make that a little bit stronger. And you know what? I need to use... Let's jump into Photoshop. File, new, really fast. Create something 2,000 pixels wide by 1,000. Let's try this. Let's just make a fun design that's going to go on this, the back of the skateboard. So I just want to try to grab something cool. We'll just grab this. It just says glow. Let's drop this in. Glow is a neon typeface, but we'll just have this say glow. That's what we want. Scale this up. There we are. Here's the bottom of our skateboard. Okay. Let's just flatten this. And this is design for skate. Because chances are I'm going to need to find this later. Dropping in my miscellaneous library panel. It's going to go ahead and sync up. Let's give it a second. Come on, buddy. Do your thing. All right. By the way, I don't know any skateboarding. Come on, buddy. Why is it not adding it? Good times. Okay, let's move on. Let's just jump over here. I don't know any skateboarding terms or anything like that, by the way. I have no idea what he's doing at all. It's a hell flip? Okay, good to know, Marcos. Thank you. Let's go in here, miscellaneous. Guess what? I didn't even need to make that a separate asset. I can come into the images right down here. Here's that glow. Let's drop it on right there onto that skateboard, okay? There's a problem reading that file. Let's grab something else. Usually it's going to be like a logo that you've made. And let's get this guy right here. Let's drop him on. It's having an issue with that file. Come on, buddy. Help me out here. There it is. Gets applied. Rotate it around. And here's the bottom of our skateboard. Okay, so we have our cool design of this guy put on as a decal on the deck, on the lower end of the deck, so on the background basically. You still have that material around it that we could actually change. A lot of times if you didn't make this, you're going to have to figure out what's what. So apparently there's this base color that's probably that, but it's actually an image right there that's somehow getting wrapped around. Let's just get rid of that. Change that color to white. And let's make sure it's not changing the top part. So let's rotate this around. Yes, it did. I knew that was going to happen. Bring it back. There it is. Okay, so we have this done. You guys get the idea. Is the file linked for editing? It is. If I double click on it, it adds it. I actually don't want to do that. Let's undo that. Right click. I was hoping I can actually go to edit. There we are. Here it is. And yes, we can. So we could take this. We could take the image that I was showing you earlier, because I think it's so much cooler. Edit, copy, pasting in place. Oops, so sorry. Edit, copy, merged. Did you know you can do that? Copy, merged. Look, there it is. Drop it in. This happens to be black and white. That's okay. I can change that right up here. Image mode. Make sure it's like RGB. Don't flatten. Pasting this in once more. You get the idea. Bam, bam, bam. Let's move on. I just like this image a lot better. Okay. Oh, good Lord. Okay, got it. Done, done, done. Back in. It's linked. Should actually update. And sure enough, it does. You can see it right down there. I can play with this a little bit more. Going back into that deck, I can kind of dig through this if I want, or I can even double click, find that graphic, scale it up. In this case, so cool. And you get the idea. Okay, so check this out. The shadow could be a little... Oh, actually, where did the shadow got kind of screwed up? Over there. By the way, I have this angle almost perfect, right? I have the position of this, and maybe that's what I want to do, is kind of tweak this a little bit more. I feel like the distance is looking pretty good. Oh, good Lord. kind of bring this forward. There we go. Bring that into place like so. There we go. Got pushed back a little bit. Okay. But the thing is, I'm kind of moving this in 3D space. I actually think I have the angle right. I think the angle looks pretty good. I can change the sun, as you know. You say it might need to, the shadow could be a bit darker. Yeah, let's work on that. Let's actually make this a little higher and rotate it like so. And that has to do with the cloudiness. So cranking that all the way down, it is now darker. So hopefully that works out. I could actually stretch that out a little bit more. Zoop. By taking the height down, it's going to stretch it out further. And that's what I want. Now, since I have this in place, I'm going to want to come up here and create a camera bookmark. So I'm going to click right here, and this is going to be the final view. Why did it just scale up like that? I don't know. It did. I accidentally hit a button and it got really big. Let's see if this saved it. Oh, see? If I screw up, because ultimately that's what I want to do, I kind of want to zoom in on this and check the size of it and position this a little bit better, right? I'm actually changing the angle. I can actually take this skateboard and rotate this skateboard too. You can see how I can see it much better. It doesn't actually have to be right there. But now that I can see this particular graphic, I can come in and scale this down and get this just right. The thing is I created that bookmark so I can go back in and change it. Okay, that looks pretty cool. Making it about that size. That works. Going back right up here, final view, click, there it is. Let's take this, let's rotate it. Like so. There we are, done. Go to render, we'll render this out. It is called skateboard, easy enough. But I want to take this to the next level, by the way. I'll make this hopefully pretty fast. Guess what, there's cloud rendering right up here. So you get a certain number of cloud credits for free initially, or you could just render on your desktop. Right down here, this should actually happen pretty fast. We could see it's gonna be done in no time, because again, it was just a quick render. Okay, so that is done, that is rendered. I'm saving this file, and now I want to get on to something else, right? Which is going to be taking this 3D object that I just spent time on and actually bringing it into Photoshop to use. Okay, skateboarder. There it is, done, saving that. Yeah, I hear you, Jeffrey. Jeffrey just mentions how his computer's a little old. I get it. I feel, I don't know. I'm a Mac guy. Macs last forever, but you know, you're going to be waiting a little bit of time if you're rendering this on your desktop. Sounds like yours is old. Mine's 3 years old. Okay. Okay, scrolling seemed to make the skateboard change size. Yeah, I actually scrolled up my scroll wheel. I accidentally touched my mouse, and that's how it zoomed in. So if you do have like a multifunction mouse, you're going to be able to like use the scroll wheel to actually zoom in on it, which is just using the dolly tool. Okay, so anyways, this looks good. That is done. I actually want to take this skateboard, since I spent time on it. I'm going to file, export, selected model as an OBJ, right? Export to the desktop. This is going to be skate. We'll just call it skate because I have other things called skateboard. We'll save that out. Why is this important? Well, technically, and this is kind of a bummer, but if you happen to have a model you get from Adobe stock and you sync it to your library, you might not be able to see that or use it in Photoshop, right? Because I actually have it in here. Right, see, here's that model. I actually can't bring it in. It's grayed out, okay, when ultimately I actually do. So let's go back to this image really fast. No. This one right here. I'm going to do something similar. And I'm going to show you why I want to do this. I actually want to animate it. So we're going to do a new 3D layer from a file. Selecting that, going to our desktop, we can see our skate OBJ, opening that up. and bringing it in. It should actually include the textures. We'll find out in a second. Okay. I don't know the size versus the size of this document. Would I like to switch to the 3D workspace? Nope. Keep my workspace as it is, but what I do want to open up is I want to go to Window and open up the 3D panel. Okay, so that'll happen in a second. Now I have 3D going on in Photoshop. Okay, similar method. We could see the 3D layer right here that has all those various textures, right? But not only that, we'll go to Window, 3D, there it is. Open that up, we'll drag that off to the side, okay? Look at all this crazy, look at all this, look at it all, right? There's actually a lot going on right in here. I'm gonna group these objects, make it just one, keep it simple. We'll boost up the lighting and we're gonna animate it. So that's what's gonna be the fun part. Okay, so right here, here's my new group. Let's take the lighting. We can go into the properties, by the way. Let's see how this is squared away. I don't know why the color has been changing to black when I import items, but again, I'm just changing the environment light, the global light, to more of a gray. Okay, now we can see that. Nonetheless, I can shrink that down and get to animating it because I think that'll be really fun. Notice how the tools are actually the same. So I want to scale this. I can hold down the Shift key. Let's undo that. Scale uniformly right in the center, so they're mostly the same. If you want to scale uniformly, you actually have to grab the center like that and position it accordingly. That's what I'm doing right now. Give me a second. Wait for it. Here's my light source. This is going to be a problem, is finding the lighting. We won't worry about that right now because I just want to get this into place and animate it for you. About 30 minutes have gone by. Do you know the RAM on your Mac? Wondering if the 3D and rendering bogs down. Let's go ahead and see. It's definitely slowing down, and yeah, it will impact the performance. Yeah, 16 gigs of RAM, in case anybody's wondering what my system is set to. 2.7 gigahertz quad core, 16 gigs of RAM. So yeah, exactly like you said, Paul. So let's move this down. Let's make this happen. Let's make this happen. Right, I'm actually moving this object. Guess what? I can select. I want to be very mindful of what I have selected. I can select the camera as well. And now I'm moving the camera. All right, that's what I'm doing. I should make sure that this infinite light casts shadows. So right over here, selecting it, it says shadow. So it should actually be casting a shadow as well. I just don't see it anywhere, to be honest with you. And I don't want to worry about it right now because I want to get into animating because this will take a sec. Okay, shrinking this down. Shoop. Wait for it. Moving this over. All right. Welcome if you're joining me on YouTube as well. I'm just combining 2D with 3D. So this is a 2D image. We have 3D, of course, this 3D skateboard. Be very mindful of what you have selected because the people get screwed up the most by not knowing what they had selected, especially for this object. Like I could accidentally grab a wheel or something, so I'm just going to select this entire new group, right? So I'm just going to be very mindful of that, shrinking that down into perspective, moving it over, and then animating it. So again, this is going to take time. Oops. Yeah, the shadow's probably on the grid. I could probably scoot this back. And what I can actually do is, again, select current view. Exactly like you're saying, we can kind of pan out. I should be able to see that shadow somewhere. The light source is right up here, as you can see. Let's grab this object. Yeah. Not 100% sure. Okay. And I'm going to check my environment as well. Over here, shadows, yes. Reflections. Shadows turned on as well. All right. Yeah. All right. Fantastic. Let's kind of make this larger. Let's get this working. Hurry up. Hurry up, Paul. I'm telling that to myself. I need to get this going. Again, I'm glad you guys were asking about computers and the laptop you might be using, because it's definitely affected. Boom. There we go. It's affecting the speed of everything right now. It's just like all taking time. Okay, there we are. Okay, done. Right, here's my skate. This is just new group. We'll just call this skate board. Okay, there we have it. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that background right there. We just have the skate and then the skater. So I only have 2 layers. We're going to go to Window, down to Timeline, opening up this timeline. Right down here, you can see, I'll move this over, Create Video Timeline, clicking right there. And you can see these same 2 layers, okay? There we have it, skate, skater. Be very mindful of the playhead, right? Right now, nothing's happening, right? But if you start moving this playhead and you start inserting new layers, it's gonna have them start at wherever the playhead is. So if you can't find something, just be aware of where it exists in this timeline, okay? But right here, we can see skate. We'll twirl this down. Right in here. We see the position, opacity. All of these options are things that we can animate. So right in here, we can take the meshes, the lights, the materials. Let's go to position. Clicking right here, just like in After Effects, if I click this little stopwatch, it adds a keyframe right here, okay? I can go to the end. It's only 5 seconds long, that's fine. Wait for it. And add another keyframe. So there's 2 keyframes. They're both exactly the same. Now I can go, because I want its start and ending point to be exactly the same. Now I can go to the middle, right? Select this object. Deep breaths. Oh, Hamed's doing it right now on the grid. Awesome. Hey, man, would love to see it. Send it to me if you could, or show me. Send me a note on Twitter or Instagram. Wait for it. There we go. All right. Fantastic. Ahmed, that is so cool. Okay, by the way, right over here, guess what happened and what didn't happen? There's 2 ways I can move this. It's all about moving the layer. This skate, this position is actually for the layer, so I can move this layer as a whole. But right in here, I can also move just the mesh that I'm working with. And that's what I was doing right here. With this keyframe, it's actually moving that particular object, right? So I'm just making sure skateboard is selected. Sorry it's taking so long. I'll get this into position and we'll hit play. And yeah, that's the whole goal. By the way, I have Dimension running in the background. I'm also feeding 2 monitors off of this MacBook Pro, so everything's going to go slower, which I'm not crazy about. I can click right here, just like in After Effects. This little button will actually jump to the keyframe that you want to move to. So from there, see, notice how I kind of screwed this up. I don't want it coming up into his knee. We're going to kind of move it in front and rotate it back like this and just ultimately like have some fun with it. There we go, something like that. We'll move it down. Okay. Okay, cool. Done. Done. We will go back to the beginning. I'll hit play. Yeah, my MacBook Pro, I had to actually set it over there away from the mic because it would otherwise be like really loud. But yeah, I am running a really huge monitor that I just hooked up the other night, and now I'm questioning why I did that. Okay, let's go ahead and click play. We'll see it move slowly, 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 but it's rendering those frames. Is Adobe making a timeline for iPad, some kind of After Effects for iPad? Honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't know all the goings on, especially in that area. That's an interesting thought. Like, what would that look like? So yeah, good question. All right, so it's moving. It's doing the animation exactly what I said. I get it. Thank you so much for Ahmed. Got the... Sounds like he has the shadow in the right place. That's great. Okay, this is all kind of moving kind of slow for me. I should have actually rendered this out earlier, but you can see it's actually doing its job. It's doing frame by frame. We'll hit play and it will go through its whole thing. So yeah, animation on the iPad would be a game changer. Like, what would that look like though? Like, how is it easier? Is it the fact that it's like a touch screen? Like, I kind of want to know. I'm totally curious. And I think the success of Premiere Rush will maybe determine, you know, if After Effects is next. Because basically, like Adobe Premiere Rush, which Jason's going to cover actually right after my session in about 22 minutes, 23. He's going to actually cover Adobe Premiere Rush is, I think, his plan. So audio and video, that's coming up next. Super fun. Okay, that's finally rendered. Let's click play, and you can see it obviously kind of move around. Let's hit hide. We'll click play again. Okay, you get the idea. It's actually working. Fantastic. I'll definitely spend a little bit more time on this today, and I will probably post it to Instagram as a video. But you have the fundamentals, right? I'm sorry my machine's running so slow. It's because I connected this huge monitor. I know that's what it is. And I also have a Dimension run in the background, all this stuff, and I'm also live streaming, so it's a whole thing. All right, but from there, all you need to do is file, export, render video, rendering out this video, posting it where you want. Pretty straightforward, pretty awesome. Done and done. Cool. Let's move on to my other project, right? Since this is taking a while, we can get a little bit more creative. Isn't it cool, Justin? Thank you so much. I think this is totally awesome. Because what do you want to do as a designer? You created a cool composite, and whenever you think, oh, it'd be really cool if that was moving, hey, you could do that in Photoshop. And honestly, this goes above and beyond. This is like a masterclass, like big time, because we're talking about 3D, and we just did some 3D animation in Photoshop very easily. You render it out the way you want, and it's done. Okay, I'll save this file and post this later, but I am going to close it because just to free up a little space, right, for our next project, right? So create something cool. We can work on something like this. Get rid of that. This piece, right? So something a little bit more interesting. I talked a little bit about this. I actually just posted it recently. I streamed on it a little bit last night when I was testing out my system, but you can get more creative with something like this. I think this is really fun because I have, how this is set up is kind of cool. Like right in here, I can sort of add or remove from this skull. So let's just change my brush really fast. Boom, boom, boom. Let's subtract from. So right up here, right, we want to add more. We can add some more to this. Right, I'm kind of revealing this 3D skull underneath. I locked down brush settings last night because I was having some fun scattering things around. So yeah, let's kind of take a step back from that actually. Here we go. Let's turn on this one. There we go. I got some other shadows that are kind of funky, but anyways, that's kind of what's going on there. It's kind of revealing parts of it. So let's take a look at this. Stepping back, hitting undo a couple times so I don't destroy this piece, and trying that out in Dimension as well. Right, so what did I do? I actually grabbed a skeleton. I think I probably got it off of Turbo Squid. Maybe I got it off Adobe Stock. I'm not sure. Oh, thank you, Eric. You are too kind. You know, you have good days, you have bad days. Today is a day where, again, you're getting into 3D. Things are going to move a little bit slower, so you got to be mentally prepared and maybe not be on 2 cups of coffee because you're like, hurry up, I'm vibrating, right? Let's jump into this. Again, this is kind of already, some of this is already kind of squared away, but since I already showed you how to find and import graphics and move things around, I want to get into materials and some fun lighting as well. So dealing with something like this and actually matching this. This is exactly what I want. So this is the same process. I accidentally was touching my mouse, but I was actually panning it in. We want to be able to position this like so. And notice right over here, here's the human skeleton. It's all in this folder. If I could twirl this down, I have all these different parts, right? Let's take these two. Let's see if I could do this. Ah, that's why. Okay, right in here, I have the skull selected. I need to actually select the jaw as well. So let's hold down the Command key, selecting both of those. Notice how I can take them independently, and let's rotate it this direction, kind of move it down. You get the idea. Position it into place like so, right? So I actually just dropped in that image just to use it as a template in the background, right? So you can position that into place. I wanted to talk about textures as well. So for your starter assets, you'll find a number of them in materials right over here. Wax, plastic, all that fun stuff. Guess what? Just make sure, I would say, just have that entire object selected. And if it's easier, just drop the texture onto that layer, right? Rather than accidentally placing it somewhere else. This texture already looks pretty cool, right? We can see what's happening here. It happens to be this brushed iron, which looks awesome, right? Key thing right in here, you can see the base color, how that looks, and the different properties just beneath that, okay? So that's how that's kind of put together. You can take that and then render it out. What you can also do is, let's wait for it. environment. Everything actually looks pretty good in here because I've already kind of played with the lighting. We have a couple directional lighting sources. The more lighting sources I have for anything that's metallic or shiny, it's just going to make it pop some more. But I'm really into this color right now. Go over here to render skeleton. Let's do skeleton 2 because I might have multiple. Let's render that out and you'll see what that looks like. Super easy to do. Oh, Alexander, you are so kind to me. I just really appreciate it so much. I really, really appreciate all of you today. Now, remember, I was just using that that image back there just as a you know, for positioning only. The great thing is when this gets rendered out, it's rendering everything with various layers. Okay, so that's done. I just did low quality. We could see it right over here. Skeleton 2, opening that up in Photoshop. Like so, and there it is, right? Here's all the layers I was talking about off to the side. You can turn off that. There's the initial skeleton, and then we have these additional layers. So this works out great if you wanted to select other parts. So if I wanted to move just the any one of these objects, I have this as like my selection masks, right? So this makes it easy to select these different parts. So if I did just want the skull, I can use that as a template and kind of move on from there. Another thing I can do, and I think Alexander knows this, I think a lot of people might know this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You tell me. Let's do this. Let's jump in here. Let's add a cool gradient to the background. Let's turn this back on. Let's actually render this out a little bit better in the background. That is my goal. So we'll make this medium because I want a better quality. 3, render, go back into Photoshop, and let's just grab a fun gradient in the background for the background color. Let's go with green. We need something that kind of maybe like matches or something so it looks part of the same environment. Done and done. Okay, so taking this, I'm going to save this out. Yeah, just saving it out as a JPEG. Skeleton 2 JPEG, save. I think Eric Sue knows what I'm going to do, but I think this is really cool to take a look at. I have this depth map, so this is what you'd use the depth. Oh, you could do so much. With the channel, add a lens. Are you talking lens blur? Yeah, we could do that. We could totally do all of that. So let me show both of these things, right? So let's export this out too. This is going to be depth. So it's going to be the same name, depth. Hopefully I'm doing this, that's named correctly. If we happen to go to something like Facebook that understands depth maps, believe it or not. Again, I'm just doing this because I know people like it. Selecting these two, here's the depth. Here it is. And then here. So these two are the two I'm going to select. And I'm going to drop them right in here. Oops. Sorry. Let's go back. Right in here. Add photo video. Clicking right here. Selecting these two like so. Open. Since this one's called depth, it should understand and marry those two together. Is it going to do it? I might have one needs to be named, and that's why I'm glad you guys are with me watching. This one actually might need to have an underscore depth. Again, I would take me 2 seconds. I would actually typically, yeah. Cool. Boom, boom, open. Oh, why is it doing that? So typically it will marry those two into one depth map, and yeah, you get the idea. Let's try this one more time. I don't know why it's not getting rid of these previous ones, but that's how you make sort of like a 3D photo. That's how it's done. Cool. Done and done. You get the idea. Let's get out of there. Let's take a look at what Alexander mentioned. Depth of field, right? What you can do if you really wanted to match a photo, including its depth, is you could use Dimension. Thank you. That is done rendering. And maybe what I will do is I will probably just... That photo in the background is getting a little distracting. So let's just throw something neutral back there really fast. Okay, let's drop that on. Okay, new idea right in here. We take the camera, we have this field of view, and we have the focus. So let's actually zoom in on this a little bit closer, right, like so. And I want to have a certain field, a certain focus. So selecting the and setting the focus point on, say, the spine right in there. Okay, and let's crank up the blur amount. See what's happening there? We create this sort of nice depth of field that we can control, right? So we get that nice depth being able to focus on what we want. But you know what? You can actually control this after the fact. So rather than doing it here and maybe trying this, maybe trying that, it's pretty awesome, by the way, being able to do this. Let's do this. Let's jump in here. Let's take this depth information. We're going to select all. We're going to copy this depth layer. We're going to go to channels. We're going to make a new channel. And we're going to paste that in there. We're going to go to layers. We're going to select. By the way, I should probably have this flattened. I think it's going to work a little bit better. So let's just duplicate those and merge these together. Oh, I'm rasterize layers. Let's merge these. There we go. Okay, so here's my rendered image. We'll go to... my brain hurts. Oh, my brain hurts so bad. Ah, oh, my brain hurts. I don't know if I'm doing this right. Yeah. I'm going to have to open up a file that I already have squared away. So if you don't mind, let me just find this really fast. I want to work on some flowers. So give me 1 second. I've actually already done this. Give me 1 second. Everything's already set up for me, but ultimately we need a layer mask is what we're looking for. So, oh yeah, some of these. Let's check this out. There we go. So I have this flowers, same concept, better render. I want to control the blur right in here. Let's go to filter, blur, go down to lens blur, selecting lens blur. It's going to launch this interface. We're going to use as the depth map, by the way, right over here, the layer mask. Okay, so the layer mask is that depth map. From there, you can see what happens. Just like I was doing in good old Dimension, I could do the same thing here, right? Let's adjust the focal distance. And with that layer mask selected, you should be able to control the depth of what's being focused on. Right? I'm not really seeing it a whole lot here. But it should be working. You get the idea. So that's what focus blur is. Yeah, Steve, this is what I get when I stay up till 1 a.m. because I was actually doing this last night, right? Is working on that focus blur and making fun skeletons, right? Cool. Cool. Let's close that. It's kind of winding down for me. Those are just a couple use cases for this depth map when you do a render, using it as a blur effect, using focus blur in Photoshop, as well as using this on Facebook as a way to make a nice 3D photo that rotates. So anyways, you get the idea. I'm going to work on this some more as well. You can see how this was put together. I just rendered it, and then I was eliminating the mask from the top and then revealing the skull underneath. So mirroring that image, I used that because that's the background. I used that statue as the background image and then just made sure the 3D object matched those angles, right? And of course the lighting. So you get the idea. Fantastic. I'm glad you guys like this. I got more I'm working on, just so you know. But I think what I will do in the meantime, since I got to turn it over to Jason here in a second, is get this one rendered out and posted to Instagram. So Instagram, PTRANI. I'm going to make that skateboard. I'm going to render it out. I'm going to make it rotate and do all this fancy stuff. And it's going to be a video, and that's where I'm going to post it. So I always appreciate you guys. You are too kind, Brandy. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I'm super excited for Jason's Masterclass, which is up next. And I'm glad you guys were able to hang out with me and all that good stuff. So you are welcome, Paul. Everyone, I'm going to let you go. Jason's up next. Video and audio. Thanks for hanging out with us. Really appreciate everyone here. Consider you guys my friends. So have a good one, and we'll be in touch. See you guys.